Hi, I'm Dr. Chad Larson. Thanks for joining me in another episode of Keep It Real. In past episodes, we've talked about a couple key nutrients. We've had episodes on vitamin D, and we've had episodes on magnesium. But there's a really interesting article that was recently published in the Journal of the American Osteopathic Association, and they talked about the important interaction between these two really key nutrients. And so, first of all, what the researchers found is that about 75% of diets in the US are deficient in magnesium. So magnesium deficiency is widespread. Chances are you're magnesium deficient. And when a person is magnesium deficient, this is not good, because this is like the fourth most abundant, or supposed to be the fourth most abundant nutrient in the body. And if 75% of diets are insufficient and deficient in magnesium, then there's going to be some problems, because magnesium is required for over 600 enzymes to function properly in the body. And there's hundreds of these enzymatic reactions that are happening all the time, constantly in the body, and we need lots and lots of magnesium repletion over and over again. We require hundreds of milligrams per day, and most people aren't getting what they need. And so what happens if magnesium is deficient? We've talked about this in the past, but I'll just set this as a quick reminder. Then we'll talk about the interaction that this study indicated between magnesium and vitamin D. And so magnesium is really key for bones. It's important for your muscles. It's important for your number one muscle, which is your heart muscle. It's really important for your teeth and for your nails, and lots of other cellular kind of enzymatic reactions that happen at the really microscopic level. So it kind of helps with macroscopic things like muscle function, and then at the enzymatic kind of microscopic level. So it's a really key nutrient. And so what the study found is that vitamin D, also a very important nutrient. In fact, vitamin D is so important that vitamin D deficiency is an independent risk factor for overall mortality. In other words, if you're low in vitamin D levels, that could increase the chance that you're going to die young. That's how important vitamin D is to just general health. So vitamin D, as we know, is also important for bones. It's important for like calcium balance. It's important for immune function, for brain function, for hormonal function. And remember, vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's, the name is stuck, nobody's going to change it, but it's not a vitamin. It's not a vital amine. True vitamins or vital amines have the necessity of getting it from an outside source. In other words, your body doesn't make it, so you have to get it from foods or from your environment. And that's what happens with vitamin D. You get exposed to skin. Your skin gets exposed to sunlight, and then vitamin D gets kind of synthesized from a whole kind of chain of reactions that start with sunlight exposure on your skin. And so here's the important interaction, is that some people are found to be vitamin D deficient, and they get plenty of sun exposure, and then they get retested and they're still vitamin D deficient. And what the study found is that you need a proper amount of magnesium, a sufficient amount of magnesium, in order to activate the vitamin D in your body. And here's what's interesting. Then you need vitamin D, particularly present in your intestines, in order to absorb magnesium. So you can see the kind of feed forward cycle that's important for these nutrients. If you have a deficiency of one, that's going to lead to a deficiency of the other. And so we know that from past episodes we talked about, I test a lot of people for vitamin D levels, and even being here in sunny San Diego, I see vitamin D deficient all the time. And magnesium, if you're running standard lab work on magnesium, in other words, it's in the serum, which is part of the blood test where they're looking at magnesium, only 0.3% of your magnesium exists in your serum. So, there's the vast majority of your magnesium exists in other places. So there's more accurate ways of measuring your magnesium. The way I like to do it in my office is called RBC magnesium, or red blood cell magnesium, and that gives you levels of intracellular. When it's in the plasma, that's what we call extracellular. It's, not that important. It's not indicative of your general levels of magnesium, but when we measure it in the red blood cells, then that is more indicative of the true levels that are in your body. That's intracellular. So, what we have to consider is that if a person is either deficient in magnesium or vitamin D, it can lead to a whole host of issues, including musculoskeletal issues, bone loss like osteopenia, osteoporosis, problems with muscles like muscle dysfunction, muscle spasms, muscle tightness, migraines, headaches, even nerve issues like pain in your nerves, peripheral neuropathy, and then of course they both affect the heart. So we know that magnesium has a really key effect on heart function. So you can get into things like arrhythmias and tachycardia and kind of rhythm issues of the heart. We know it affects your immune system. So there's a whole host of symptoms and conditions that can really be related and associated with deficiency of these nutrients. So it's really important to get these tested. This is a really key study on helping us really understand the importance of the interaction, because just taking vitamin D is not necessarily going to boost your vitamin D levels if you're deficient in magnesium, and the other way around. If you feel like you are magnesium deficient just based on some symptoms like muscle spasm, muscle tightness, heart arrhythmia, and you test your magnesium, your RBC magnesium, and it's low, just taking magnesium is not going to fix the problem. You probably also have to take vitamin D along with it, particularly if you've run that evaluation and that's low as well. So it's really key to test these things, take the guesswork out, and make sure you're getting enough of these very important and very commonly deficient nutrients. So I hope that was helpful. Stay tuned. I'll keep reading the studies and bring you the information. Talk to you next time. Keep it real.